Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan, and today I'm starting a fun new series where I read all of a certain author's backlist books. Basically, I'm going to read all of Tiffany D. Jackson's books. Tiffany D. Jackson is a Black author who writes hard-hitting YA books, sometimes a little bit in the mystery thriller domain and sometimes a little more contemporary, but she has written 4 books so far. I have heard nothing but amazing things about all of them, and so I want to know what all the hype is about. I've owned all 4 of these for a little while now, and I think it's about time I just knock them all out, figure out if I enjoy Tiffany D. Jackson as much as I think I'm going to. This is going to be vlog style. I'll give you my thoughts on each book as I read them, but just to give a little bit of an intro about what each book is about as far as I know, going in publication order. Her first book is called Allegedly. This is a YA contemporary about a young Black girl who has been convicted of murdering a white baby, and basically the repercussions of that. She's living in a group home and struggling to do all of the quote-unquote normal things that teenagers do, you know, get an education, have friends, all of those things, because of this conviction that is following her. And it's called Allegedly because she did this crime allegedly. So I have just started this book barely. I will be doing a lot more reading of it today, and hopefully we'll be able to share my thoughts very soon. And this book was published in 2017. It is her debut novel. And then her second novel, written in 2018, is Monday's Not Coming. This is about a teenage girl who has a best friend named Monday, and it sounds like she doesn't show up to school one day and nobody else is really concerned except for our main character, and so I think she goes after her best friend to find her and find out what happened to her. I've probably heard the most great things about this book, so I'm so excited to get to it. I think it does fall a little bit into that mystery thriller category, so I'm really excited to see how that goes and how the twists and turns and things come about in this book. And then the one that I've probably heard the least about, and that was published in 2019, is Let Me Hear a Rhyme. This is a YA contemporary, it sounds like, about these 3 teenagers who have a friend and sibling who passed away and who did music before he passed away, and they're trying to promote his music and get it heard and get it, you know, widespread, kind of in his honor, in his memory. I don't know much else other than that. Like I said, I've heard the least amount of reviews and hype about this book. That's not to say I've heard anything bad, so I'm definitely expecting it to be just as good. I'm getting a little bit of on the come up vibes from it, obviously being about young rappers and musicians. So I'm excited to read this. It sounds like it has actual song lyrics in here, so that'll be really interesting to read. And then last but not least, one probably a lot of you have seen is Grown. I think this also falls a little bit in the mystery thriller category, but about a young woman who is in the music industry and gets somewhat taken advantage of, I think, is all I know about it. Look at how that earring is reflecting. That's pretty. Good news is I have audiobooks of all of these actually. I think they're all on either Hoopla or Scribd, so for free I get to listen to all of these audiobooks along with the physical books, so I definitely plan to do so. But other than that, I will be back with an update when I have it on the first book. Okay, I probably should update because I have finished Allegedly, so Tiffany D. Jackson's first book, and I don't remember what I last spoke about, if I updated in the middle of this book or not. I was really enjoying it, and I thought that the premise is so unique and original and something that I had never read before. It's a perspective and a main character that I have never read before. I was really enjoying that. Upon finishing it, I've read some other reviews, and a lot of people say that the ending of this book kind of throws it off, and I agree with that. It's not because there was a twist. I love twists, and in this one I even really enjoy and appreciate that it's something, again, original and something I haven't read before. It was a little confusing in how it all came together. I think I was expecting a little bit more of a like grand reveal or something about what actually, you know, happened to this baby, but it was a little more abstract in how it revealed itself. and I won't give away what exactly happened, but wasn't what I was expecting. So yeah, so I'm kind of a little bit conflicted after finishing this. Like, did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it? I don't really know. I think I'm gonna land on giving it 3 stars. While I was entertained while reading it, I don't think it had the impact that I thought it was gonna have on me. And I don't think it's gonna last with me like for years and years. I don't feel the urge to want to reread this now or in the future, but I'm encouraged by the fact that I enjoyed the original premise so much, and I think I enjoyed the writing style and everything. So excited to continue with Tiffany D. Jackson's books and see what other storylines she can come up with. And really, I think it's just a matter of the actual plot itself and characters themselves connecting, you know, with me as a reader. So I'm excited to be moving on. I will be reading Monday's Not Coming next. Probably the book that I've heard the most about, so I am most excited slash a little nervous about, because obviously I want to like the book that everyone seems to love, but we will see, and I will let you know when I have some thoughts on that book, when I have an update, and we will go from there. Check-in time, because I have actually now finished Monday's Not Coming. Flew through this book. I actually read it within a single day. I listened to the audiobook as well as reading it physically, and so I was able to hit it at 3 times speed, which just made it fly by. Yet again, another super dark, hard-hitting, emotional, and completely original book, I thought, from Tiffany D. Jackson. I was gonna say loved the premise. Again, it's hard to say that you enjoy it when it's so dark and disturbing at times, but this lady knows how to write a plot. Basic premise of this book is that we are following our main character, Claudia, who has a best friend named Monday. And we know that Monday has gone missing, and Claudia seems to be the only person who cares about that. The only person who's looking for her, the only person who feels like something is wrong. And so we're following her, you know, looking for her friend. And this book is kind of odd in its timelines. It jumps around a lot. It goes from after, or the point where Monday's gone missing, and then we get flashbacks from before Monday went missing, but then there's also this mysterious event that we're getting before and afters of that we don't know what that event is until really late on in the book. And I will say that that made it a bit confusing again, which unfortunately is kind of a theme of both of these first 2 books that I've read of Tiffany D. Jackson. I feel like a more linear timeline still could have worked here, and there is at least one major plot twist in this book, and something about the jumping around timelines kind of took away from it for me, or I don't know, it didn't have its fullest impact. So that's really the only thing lacking about it. I am gonna give it 4 stars still, because again, I was invested. I really enjoyed reading about our main character and learning about Monday, and I think it's an important story and relevant, and situations like this happen more than most of us realize. And so from that aspect, I totally respect it and think it deserves all of the praise. Just for those couple of reasons, it wasn't perfect to me. So 4 stars. I'm glad that, you know, these books have been increasing in my enjoyment in ratings, and hope that that trend continues for the next 2 books that I have in store. So I'm going to get started with the 3rd book as soon as I have a chance, and let you know how I feel about that one when I know. All right, I'm back with an update because I am 150 pages into Let Me Hear a Rhyme. So the 3rd book that I'm reading from Tiffany D. Jackson's Backlist. And so far I'm really liking it. I mean, at this point I just feel like her book plots are so original and intriguing, and her characters are done so well. I would have been really shocked if I got into this one and was like, yeah, I don't really like it at all. But again, the basic premise of this book is we are following 3 teenagers as they are dealing with grieving their friend and brother, and during their initial grief period they find all this music, all these raps that he had made when he was alive, obviously, and they decide to try to put that music out on his behalf and try to you know, make a name for him. It's not as dark or as sad as I think that might make it sound. The grief portion so far really hasn't been explored that much. And I'm thinking that's okay so far. We might get more of that as the book goes on, I'm not sure, but I kind of like that it's more focused on celebrating this guy's life and his music and his friendship and all of that, rather than spending a lot of time on the grief surrounding his loss. And so I guess if you are worried about that, that's what I can say so far. The music part is really fun. It definitely has On the Come Up vibes if you've read that book by Angie Thomas. Obviously it's easy to make that comparison because it's, you know, 2 books about like teenage rappers basically trying to be on the come up. And, there are lyrics in here. The audiobook of this so far is great. I have also been listening to that, and there are different narrators for each of the 3 main characters we have, as well as the lyrics are read kind of as raps. So it's very immersive. I'm really enjoying it, and I think this one, like the other ones, I'm going to fly through really quickly. So I just wanted to come on and say a quick kind of midpoint update. Again, this is her book that I've heard the least about, so I really had no expectations going in. I had no idea. And so far, again, it is different because it's not as dark as her first 2 books have been, and I'm not expecting it to be as twisty necessarily. I think that would be kind of odd for this book because, again, it is so lighthearted and really celebrating this guy in his life. But we'll see. Maybe Tiffany D. Jackson just will do what Tiffany D. Jackson does and pull something right out of left field. We will see, but I will update you as I get further and when I have more thoughts, if they are different at all, once I get to the end. It's a couple days later and I have finished Let Me Hear a Rhyme. It was really good. I actually think that this is my favorite of the 3 books that I've read so far by Tiffany D. Jackson. I really liked how although it dealt with harder hitting subject matter, the book itself wasn't sluggish or hard to get through or slow. It really was still a lighthearted book, which I appreciated and I enjoyed reading. It made it read really quickly, and I just think it was a nice kind of change of pace from her previous 2 books. I stand by my statement that the audiobook is fantastic. The different narrators for the different perspectives were each great and definitely helped them stay differentiated. I also still stand by the statement that if you enjoy On the Come Up, you probably will like this book, again, because of all the music references and the inclusion of rap and music lyrics in the book. I'm super surprised that this is Tiffany D. Jackson's least read and least hyped book. Not only because I liked it the best, but just because of, you know, that appeal with the music and the rapping and everything like that. It makes for a super fun book. So I'm gonna give it 4 stars, a solid 4 stars. I don't really know what I would say it's missing. Maybe because it's Tiffany D. Jackson, I was hoping for something a little more like shocking at the end or like a twist or something. I don't know why I came to expect that. There were reveals and things that they were figuring out throughout this book, but it was still nothing that like took me by surprise or really made me go like whoa or anything like that. And I think that's maybe just what I was missing, was that impact at the end, but hard to say there's anything wrong with this book. So I would super highly recommend it, and I hope to see more people picking this up in the future. And then moving right along, I am 50 pages into Grown, so I'm so excited to finally be reading this book. I would say this is maybe the most hyped book by Tiffany D. Jackson. I mean, it came out the most recently, so it makes sense that I've seen the most hype surrounding it most recently. But I've seen this described as kind of a mystery thriller type book, definitely a hard-hitting contemporary at least. We're following our main character, Enchanted, who is a singer, and she is basically taken under the wing of this super famous singer named Corey, who turns out not to be such a great person, and he's actually really taking advantage of her musically and otherwise. I'm only about 50 pages in, so I don't have a ton of thoughts. My initial reaction to the setup of the story is that it is kind of unbelievable. It really just throws you into the situation that this girl Enchanted is, you know, nobody, and then all of a sudden she's picked up by this mega superstar. So that's hard to believe in one sense, but in the other, I think that that might kind of be the point, is that, you know, it's showing you that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. And so I think we'll dive way more into that lesson and story as we go. So far, really enjoying it. Definitely gonna hold off on saying any more thoughts until I get further into it or finish it, but that's where I am, and I will be back once I am further along and have more thoughts to share. All right, was not planning on doing this final update in my car, but here we are. So I have finished all of the books for this video, and I need to get my thoughts out there. So the most recent book that I finished is obviously Grown, and let me just say that I cannot express how happy it makes me that I loved this book, and I am giving it 5 stars, and how cool that the 4 books that I read for this video just increased in my enjoyment as I read them. What I loved about Grown, I remember saying in my previous clip that like it came off too good to be true and that it's an unbelievable situation, and while that is still true, you know, I don't think this would happen to the average person. That does not mean that it doesn't happen, and I still think that the story is so good and raw and devastating that even if it happened in real life one time, you know, it's a story worth being told. And we know, because of things that have come out, that this story has happened multiple times. Again, this story being about a young teenage girl being taken advantage of by older, wealthier, more famous men in her industry, taken advantage of in a business sense and also in a sexual sense. Again, not something that I want to say I enjoyed reading, but the story was so just intriguing, and so I loved it. Some critiques I've seen about it are that it's not really a mystery thriller, and I would kind of agree with that. I mean, I think a lot of mystery thrillers are not actually thrillers, so I don't think this is unique in saying that or doing that, so I don't think that it's a specific call out to this book. I think it's more of a call out to the hard-hitting contemporary genre in general, that there can be mysterious elements without making the book a mystery or a thriller. So I'm not docking that against this book at all. And I mean, what else can I say? I'm so excited to see what Tiffany D. Jackson puts out in the future. I know she has another book, I think slated to come out later this year. I am definitely pre-ordering that. I am definitely reading it as soon as possible once it comes out. I am now a Tiffany D. Jackson stan. I'm really glad that I finally got to all of these books. Even though they weren't all home runs, I think they were all stories worth telling, stories worth reading, and worth recommending to other people, in hopes that, you know, each of these books will influence, I mean, I know they've already influenced one person, but if they can impact, you know, one more person because of my recommendation, I definitely would like to do that. So those are my final thoughts. I was hoping to have a nice, you know, stack of books to show when I wrapped up this video, but I gotta get this edited and get it uploaded. So this is all you're gonna get, but thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if you have read any of Tiffany D. Jackson's books in the past, or if this book convinced you to pick one up in the future. I would love to know, and if you would be interested in watching, you know, this type of video for other authors in the future, because there are a ton of authors that I think I would really enjoy but have not delved into yet. So that's in the future plans for sure. But otherwise, that is all I have. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.